Welcome. Today we're going to go on a little journey, not to some far-off galaxy, but to the most fascinating place imaginable, the inside of your own head. We're taking a trip to the center of your mind. So, let's get started. Our guide for this trip is the wonderfully clear and really accessible The Brain Book. We're going to be pulling insights and even some illustrations right from its pages to unpack the mysteries of the mind one piece at a time. So, to kick things off, let me ask you a question. Just forget about black holes or distant galaxies for a second. What do you think is the single most complex object we know of anywhere in the entire universe? Well, believe it or not, the answer a lot of scientists would give you is that squishy, wrinkled organ sitting right between your ears. It's kind of wild when you think about it, right? The most complicated thing we've ever found is the very thing we use to think about complication. Okay, so let's start with the big picture. What exactly is this control center up there doing all day? Well, tucked away inside your skull, this organ is the source of everything that makes you, well, you. Every thought, every memory, every hope, every single feeling, it's all happening right in here. This is the headquarters of your identity. And it is always on the job. Right now, it's gathering information from your eyes and ears. It's keeping tabs on whether you're hungry or thirsty. It's comparing what's happening this second to everything you've ever experienced. And on top of all that, it's controlling every single move you make, from a tiny blink to a full-on sprint. And get this, all of that processing power, your entire universe of experience, all of it weighs just about 3 pounds. The sheer amount of complexity packed into that small space is it's astonishing. It's an absolutely incredible piece of biological hardware. All right, so now that we have a sense of what it does, let's peel back the layers a bit and take a quick tour of the major neighborhoods inside your brain. So the most obvious feature is this wrinkly outer surface, right? That's called the cerebral cortex. And all those folds are there for a reason. It's to pack in as much surface area as possible inside your skull. You can think of it like the brain's main office building, divided up into 4 main departments, or lobes. And each of these lobes has its own specialties. Your frontal lobe, up front, that's your CEO. It handles planning and problem solving. The parietal lobe processes sensations like touch and taste. Way in the back, the occipital lobe is your visual center, handling everything you see. And on the sides, the temporal lobes are key for hearing and memory. They're all talking to each other, of course, but that's the basic layout. But a map of the big regions only tells you part of the story. To really understand the magic, we have to zoom in, way in. We need to go from the whole organ down to the microscopic machinery that makes it all tick. Okay, here we go. We're zooming in. Welcome to the cellular level. This is where the real action is. Now get ready for a number that's, well, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. Your brain has roughly 86 billion specialized cells called neurons. Just to put that in perspective, that's more than 10 times the number of people on planet Earth, all packed inside your head, all working together. And this is one of them. Each neuron is like a tiny biological computer chip and wire all rolled into one. Its little branches, called dendrites, collect all the incoming messages. And if it gets enough input, it fires off its own message down that long tail, the axon, to go talk to other neurons. So how do you keep 86 billion of these cells powered up? Well, it's a massive job. Your brain has this incredibly dense network of blood vessels that, if you could lay them all out end to end, would stretch for 400 miles. It just goes to show you how much energy this thinking machine of yours really needs. So, we've got 86 billion neurons. But how do they actually talk to each other to create things like thoughts, feelings, and actions? Well, it happens in this really elegant 3-step process. First, a neuron gets enough incoming signals that it hits a kind of tipping point. Second, that triggers an electrical impulse. They call it a spike that zips all the way down its axon. And third, when that spike gets to the very end, it causes the neuron to release chemical messengers to the next cell in line. Now, let's zoom in even closer on this microscopic little gap. It's called a synapse, and this is where the real magic happens. See, neurons don't actually touch each other. They communicate across this tiny divide by turning that electrical spike into a chemical message, which means your brain is both an electrical and a chemical machine. Pretty cool, huh? And these chemical messages basically come in 2 flavors, go and stop. Some synapses are what we call excitatory. They tell the next neuron to fire, but others are inhibitory, telling it to hold back. Every single neuron is constantly doing this math, adding up all the go and stop signals it's getting to decide whether or not to fire its own spike. It's this simple system that allows for incredibly complex calculations and keeps the brain's activity in balance. So, we've gone from the whole brain down to the lobes, all the way to individual neurons and the tiny synapses that connect them. Now, let's zoom back out and put it all together. This quote from our source material really gets to the heart of everything. All of those electrical spikes and all those chemical signals, all those billions of goes and stops firing across trillions of synapses, they all add up to become the rich, complex tapestry of your entire emotional life. Happiness, sadness, love, it's all the work of your brain. So the key takeaway here is that your brain isn't static. It's not set in stone. It's constantly changing, learning, and rewiring itself based on every single experience you have. It is literally built to learn. And that leaves us with a final, fascinating question to ponder. What will you teach it next?